knows how you come across somebody once in a while you shouldn't have messed with. That's me.
Well,
I am not an African American.
You're Oreo cookie, white in the inside and black on the outside.
I don't have an afro, I have an Amerifro.
Talking that idiotic stuff you talk about, I will slap you.
Go ahead, make my day.
Black as the ace of spades, but 100% American.
Heard around the world by everybody and their mama. The Jesse Lee Peterson Radio Show.
Uniting the races with truth instead of dividing them with lies. We're also rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Thank you so much for being with me. And welcome to the third hour of the show today. Patrick, I want to talk about the hearing on Capitol Hill yesterday. The Benghazi hearing, the whistleblowers. Very interesting. And I asked you to come in and just tell us what happened, what you think about it. Let's get going with this.
Well, Gregory Hicks, I think, is really the main guy in his testimony. He was the second in command to Stevens, the ambassador who was killed there. Okay, so Gregory Hicks is the deputy chief of mission at the U.S. Embassy in Libya. Right. All right, let me just play. Here's 4A, Andre.
At about 3 a.m., I received a call from the Prime Minister of Libya. I think it's the saddest phone call I've ever had in my life. He told me that Ambassador Stevens had passed away. I immediately telephoned Washington that news afterwards and began accelerating our effort to withdraw from the Villas compound and move to the annex. Excuse me, I'll take a glass of water. Our team responded with amazing discipline and courage in Tripoli.
To me, that alone was compelling. These three guys, they're like real men. You know, they're not girly boys, girly men. They were the real deal. They are professionals. They are committed to their job. They are committed to protecting us in this great country. And they took this very seriously. Yes. And this guy, Gregory Hicks, when he broke down, and also Eric Nordstrom broke down as well. We'll get to that later. But that alone was compelling to me. And you say?
Well, this is what we talked about the other day a little bit, and the question becomes, and we can get into what are some of the things that were really said here that were pretty mind-blowing, but what it comes down to is what we do, not what the media does or won't do, not what the Republican leadership does or won't do. There's plenty of time to crack on those guys, but the important thing is what we did. Those three guys put their careers and maybe their families, maybe their lives in jeopardy. And every action that we take has a weight of its own. That action that they took yesterday had weight. Yes. No matter what anybody else says, you can't take that away. That is real. And I just have to say hats off. He was talking to the Prime Minister of Libya, who tried to help us and was telling us what was going on. And, the Prime Minister had to call and tell him that Ambassador Stevens was killed in that situation there. That's what he was referring to. Right. And he was also referring, of course, to the, and he spoke in other times, to the bravery of the people that were there. There was quite amazing when the situation was going on. Gregory Hicks was describing the kind of bravery that was occurring among the others who were helping there. Yes. So among tragedy, there's often heroism, as we saw in the bombing situation,
right.
too.
You know, when I saw these testimonies yesterday, and I saw how hurt these guys were and how they have been affected by what happened there, I didn't realize until yesterday that there were people who were really involved in this and were that affected by it.
Yes.
Because when Obama and Susan Rice and Hillary Clinton and others, the ones that are trying to cover this thing up, when they spoke about it, there was no caring and love and hurt and anything involved. So it gave the impression it wasn't as serious as it was, even though I know it was serious.
Right.
But I didn't realize there were men involved in this and how affected they were by this until yesterday. And I thought, how in the world can Obama and Hillary and Susan Rice have such a godless, evil heart that it was just nothing? Hillary Clinton, what difference does it make?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like it wasn't a big deal.
I think yesterday was like dropping a pebble in a pond. It started, the pond is going to start to go like this.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it's going to take, but I do know that what they did was serious. See, the difference between yesterday, some of the information had been out already.
Right.
We know, people who are kind of watching the situation know a lot of the information. But it's a little bit different when the Republicans are accusing, and there's Republican guys accusing and there's Democrat, and people can easily be swayed by the White House, Jay Carney, or somebody who says, this is political. In fact, there's a sound on that too.
Yeah,
but
we have that, yeah.
But this is a political situation. And people who are not really paying attention can say, oh, okay, yeah, this is just politics. Democrats, Republicans, not a dime's worth of difference. Who cares? But when you have people who were in the situation, who were there, who lost their friends, and people they've been working side by side with, they are testifying for themselves. That has a different impact. Now, they can spin that any way they want, but these guys were there, and it will impact. Yeah. And, it remains to be seen how big of a splash actually occurred yesterday because of, obviously we had the Jodi Arias trial come in and take the cameras away from a lot of the news folks and just move away and go to the Jodi Arias trial.
But Fox News stayed with it, though.
Yeah, Fox News stayed with it.
They went over there and dealt with Jodi, went right back to the Benghazi.
Yeah.
I do want to say, though, that these whistleblowers were demoted.
Yes.
When Obama and whomever found out that they wanted to come forward, they demoted the guy. How can you have that kind of heart? Where's the love? These people are ego-driven, narcissistic, evil people.
Yeah.
I want to go ahead.
I was going to say, and their story will be told. It may not have hit all at once, but as we go, it is going to be told, and people will hear it.
When I come back from this break here, and I will get to your calls as well, Gregory Hicks talked about when he was given the orders to stand down. That was mind-blowing. And I'll get your response to that as well.
Okay.
888-775-3773. Back in a moment. Okay, welcome back. I am Jesse Peterson, 888-775-3773. Patrick Rooney is here. I asked Patrick yesterday to watch the hearing and come in and report it to us today.
Let me do this, Jesse, because we're talking about the emotion of it, we're talking about the impact of it, and all these things are critical, but also very critical is what these guys actually said. I just want to move through some of this, fairly quickly because there's some pretty new points that came up that were testified to. And you can go to the conservative intelligence briefing. This is where I kind of pulled some of this from because I can't watch the whole testimony. Right. And I did hear a lot of the testimony. So go to conservative intelligence briefing and looked at what we learned today about the Benghazi attacks. It's right there. One thing we learned is diplomats on the ground, they knew immediately that terrorists attacked us.
Yes.
We were under attack by terrorists. No video, no Muhammad video, no nothing. This was terrorists, and we also understood who the terrorists were, that they were al-Qaeda-linked terrorists. Al-Qaeda-linked terrorists, okay? We knew that right away. Chris Stevens, the ambassador, in his conversation with the diplomats who were in Tripoli, a different city at the time, he did not suggest at any point that there was a demonstration. Remember that the story was the video, but also this demonstration that went awry?
Right. There was
no report by Chris Stevens of any demonstration.
Right.
Nothing.
One of the guys testified to that when he last talked to the ambassador told him, we are under attack.
Right. We're under attack.
Nothing about no protesters or anything.
Right. Second, as I kind of alluded to, they knew that the YouTube video was a non-event. In fact, Gregory Hicks, I believe, testified to that the YouTube video was a non-event. Now, when you think about that, think about the implications of that. It's a non-event. Now, the administration knew what was going on. Hillary knew what was going on. Certainly, Susan Rice knew what was going on when someone marched her out to those 5 TV shows that she did. The President Obama knew what was going on the whole time, and he spent days talking about a video and demonstrations gone awry. So in other words, let's just put it on the table. They're liars.
Yeah.
Okay. Susan Rice lied, but she's more of a lackey. Somebody pushed her out there to talk. Hillary Clinton is a liar. Barack Obama is a liar. They all lied about this, and hopefully the people will start to understand that we used to have a country, and I'm hoping it's still a shred of it there, where people actually cared if the President of the United States lied to them.
Yeah.
They cared about it in Watergate. Nixon had to resign in disgrace. Okay, they even cared about it with Clinton, that he got out of line and he was impeached. Now, he wasn't convicted, but he was at least impeached. What happened here is much greater than what happened with Clinton or with Nixon or any other president.
As a matter of fact, Gregory, I believe it was Gregory, said that when he saw Susan Rice out there saying that it was a movie or video, his jaw dropped.
Yes, absolutely flabbergasted. And this guy is on the ground there. He knows exactly what's going on. He's second in command.
He said he even felt ashamed.
Yes, yes. Next point, I want to say that Gregory Hicks believes that the lies that were told by the administration officials about the video, including Obama himself, as we mentioned, Clinton, Rice, and all the others, harmed the relations with Libya leaders. So one thing that it hurt was that it took a 3-week delay to even get for the FBI to start looking at the crime scene in Libya, because we hurt the relations with Libya. The Libyans were trying to help us. The president is the one who was on the phone with Hicks to begin with. They were trying to help us, but the lies about the video just turned them off, and it made it more troublesome for us to even get into there and secure the. Do you know that we had, God knows what was on that crime scene there as far as information that was very sensitive to our security of the United States. That was allowed to essentially be unattended for almost 3 weeks.
Amazing.
That's incredible.
And so just to be clear, he was on the phone with Libyan Prime Minister.
Yes, he was.
Not Obama.
Right.
Right, okay.
Right, with the Libyan Prime Minister. Okay. Thank you. Next point, Hicks received orders from on high not to speak with visiting members of Congress. Now, who did he get those orders from? He got those orders from Hillary Clinton's chief of staff, Cheryl Mills, who's also been a Clinton-era a lawyer for the Clintons for a long, long time. So Cheryl Mills told him, do not speak with visiting members of Congress.
We had that sound
without a chaperone. Yeah. Now, you can speak, but you have to have an administration-appointed chaperone with you.
Let me play that soundbite for you.
In phone calls you were on with lawyers from the Department of State prior to Congressman Chaffetz coming to visit in Libya. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
And tell me about those conversations, what those lawyers instructed you to do on Mr. Chaffetz's visit to Libya.
I was instructed not to allow the RSO, the acting deputy chief of mission, and myself to be personally interviewed by Congressman Chaffetz.
So the people at State told you don't talk to the guy who's coming to investigate?
Yes, sir.
Said don't talk with the congressman? Now, you've had several congressional delegations come to various places you've been around the world. Has that ever happened where lawyers get on the phone to you prior to a congressional delegation coming to investigate a time when we've had 4 Americans lose their lives? Have you ever had anyone tell you, don't talk with the people from Congress coming to find out what took place?
Never.
Never. And you've had dozens and dozens of congressional delegations that you've been a part of?
Yes, sir.
First time it's ever happened?
Yes, sir.
Amazing.
Okay, so, yeah, it is. And then so he ends up ignoring them because the lawyer or the babysitter, basically, that they wanted to have with him didn't have the proper security clearances to even be there.
Right.
So they booted that person. And once they did, and then talked to the congressional folks, Cheryl Mills, who was the right-hand woman of Hillary Clinton, called this guy out and just chewed him up and down. Even though they had commendated the guy of what a great job he did, just chewed him out for talking to the Congress about this.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
We also had that soundbite, but I'm going to have to get to it after the bottom of the hour break.
Okay.
But this woman, she wasn't just the right arm of Hillary. She had a big position there, right? What was her position exactly?
Chief of Staff. Hillary's chief of staff. That's as close as Hillary Clinton as you can get, other than, well, Bill's not close. So that is as close to you as Hillary as you can get.
Is this the same woman that is a Muslim or something like that?
No, that's Huma Abedin, I think her last name is.
Yeah.
Huma, who, that's like her personal assistant, who was her personal assistant. Okay. That's the wife of Weiner, the Anthony Weiner. Yes.
Oh, okay.
The, whatever he was, ex-congressman.
Right.
So Hicks now, who had been praised before, was suddenly criticized, blamed, and, as you mentioned at the beginning, Jesse, of this show, demoted.
Yeah,
he was demoted after he came forward and questioned the lies and what he did there, and then he questioned the lies about the YouTube video. They demoted him.
Amazing stuff.
One other point I can get to, but I can wait on it.
Okay, 888-775-3773. When I come back, folks, we're going to get to your calls. I appreciate your patience. Back in a moment. Say what you need to say, folks, at 888-775-3773. Before we leave the airways today, Patrick Root is also going to tell us how the media presented this story yesterday. It's amazing, folks. We're just going to get so much in here. We're going to move faster. Before I go to the calls, and I will get to them, I got to, before we went to break, Patrick mentioned an official close to Hillary Clinton got upset when Hicks refused to help cover up the situation. Here is the soundbite on that.
You had another conversation on the phone with Cheryl Mills. Tell me, who is Cheryl Mills?
She was counselor for the Department of State and Chief of Staff to Secretary Clinton.
That's a pretty important position?
Yes, sir.
When she calls, you take the phone call?
Immediately.
Yeah, she's the fixer for the Secretary of State. She is as close as you can get to Secretary Clinton. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
And tell me about that phone call you had with Cheryl Mills.
A phone call from that person is, generally speaking, not considered to be good news.
And what did she have to say to you?
She demanded a report on the visit.
Was she upset by the fact that this lawyer was not, this
was upset.
Babysitter, this spy, whatever you want to call him, was not allowed to be in that? First time it's ever happened, all the congressional delegations you've ever entertained was not allowed to be in that classified briefing. Was she upset about that fact?
She was very upset.
So this goes right to the person next to Secretary Clinton. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, here's a guy with 22 years of outstanding service to our country. 22 years. Outstanding service, praised by everybody who counts. The president, the secretary, everyone above him. And yet now they're obstructing it because he won't help them cover this up. He's an honorable man here telling the truth. Now is getting this kind of treatment from the very people who praised him before. This is why this hearing is so important. I yield back.
And you say?
I mean, I kind of covered it already, but I think it just makes the point of what I was talking about. I was reporting that exactly.
There is something else you want to put out there before we go to the calls.
There was also a negligence situation in terms of having the proper security there to begin with that was brought out yesterday. The State Department, this facility did not meet even their own security standards. They knew the security risks. I'm not going to go into detail now of the other incidents that happened, but they knew substantial security risks. One other situation that came out that was very important, and I have to mention it, 2 what they call in the military stand-down orders were given while the attacks were in process, meaning at some point in the situation, somebody wanted to bring in some possible military help, possibly from one of our bases in northern Italy or somewhere else, possibly from even a ship that would be out in the Mediterranean. They could send a plane over to help. And 2 orders to stand down were given. Now, there's not total clarity in terms of the timing of it, of could they have gotten there in time to be of help to save the lives or not. That's not totally the issue. The issue is, why were they told to stand down when lives were on the line? Now, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Martin Dempsey, has testified in front of Congress that it would have taken up to 20 hours to get aircraft over from Italy's Aviano aircraft base, okay?
Wow.
Now, that's a lie. That man's a liar. Yeah. I looked at a globe. I was telling you in the break. I looked at a globe last night and just did the little finger thing to see how far it was.
Yes.
It's closer. The Aviano Air Force Base is about 1,000 miles away. It's closer from getting to here in California to Texas. That flight would take, what, a couple of hours in a commercial airliner? What would it take in a military jet? Faster, right?
I know.
Okay, so now, yes, it takes some time to get some guys on the plane and all that and get them in the air. If they weren't out in the water already on a boat, let's say they weren't on a ship. Let's just say they had to come from Italy. But still, up to 20 hours, you have liars here who are working for the president and including the president. It appears that the major people that are working for him are just flat out liars.
One of the whistleblowers said that the men and women of the military were loading up on a plane.
Yes.
When they were told to stand.
Yes, one of them.
Down.
Yes, one of them was, and I don't.
And they couldn't believe that they were telling them to stand down while their people were under attack.
Lieutenant Colonel Gibson even said, and I can't use his whole quote because it's a little colorful here, but he said, "For the first time in my career, this is the first time in my career a diplomat has more male parts than somebody in the military."
Yes.
And they told him to stand down. I don't know how you tell someone to stand down. And Jesse, one thing I know, the media are afraid of this story, and we're going to get to this, how afraid they are. One thing I'm hopeful about is that the American people are told the truth about this, and we go around the media, we can have an impact, and we are going to see something happen with this story.
I have that stand down song, but it's very short. When I come back, I'll play that. And then we'll take some calls, and then we'll do this and do that, and then take some calls, and so on and so on, and Scooby-Doo. Back in a moment.
How did the personnel react to being told to stand down?
They were furious. I can only say, well, I will quote Lieutenant Colonel Gibson. He said, "This is the first time in my career that a diplomat has more than somebody in the military."
So the military is told to stand down, not engage in the fight. These are the kind of people willing to engage. Where'd that message come down? Where'd the stand down order come from?
I believe it came from either AFRICOM or SOC Africa.
Now my understanding is that General Ham was actually not in Stuttgart, where AFRICOM's headquartered, but he was in Washington, D.C. Is that correct?
I don't know the whereabouts of General Ham on that night.
That was whistleblower Gregory Hicks. Before I go back to the phones, Patrick, how did the media cover this hearing yesterday?
As soon as they were doing fine until the Jodi Arias trial verdict came out, then whoop, I heard CNN moved over to that and just showed an empty parking lot for an hour instead of the Benghazi hearing.
I bet they were like, hallelujah.
Yeah.
Let me turn.
Yeah. Yahoo News had a ridiculous story on it right at the beginning of the hearing that they just tried to cover up for the administration. Shame on Yahoo and Donna Casada, the writer of this Yahoo from Associated Press. One funny thing that happened, and the Washington Post had a good article in there, so it wasn't totally, there was a little bit of reporting there. One interesting thing that happened, I had somebody check out our Channel 4 News, local news, which is NBC affiliate, the 11 o'clock before Jay Leno comes on. They did not have it on there at all. They had 15 items on there. It came to an end, and then Jay Leno came on. Channel 5, the local affiliate, finally had a 30-second piece. They showed Gregory Hicks for 4 seconds.
Oh, God.
And then after they talked about Benghazi, they showed Hillary Clinton getting an award in Beverly Hills.
Back in a moment.